Hi friends, welcome back to Carrie's Culinary Crafts, and if you're new, welcome. Here at Carrie's Culinary Crafts, we talk all things food, and today I'm kicking off part 2 of Crocktober. Crocktober is where there's a bunch of people that are on YouTube that cook crock pot meals during the month of October. So I've already placed part 1 has already been released, and I will put an iCard up here. So if you haven't seen that one, you can go back and see that one. There are 2 good recipes on there. They are full tutorials to show you from start to finish. And today we're going to go ahead and continue with part 2. And for this recipe, I am going to do another one of our favorites, which is chicken chili. Today I'm going to be doing another one of our favorites, and this recipe is white chicken chili. So I am going to get you the camera, and for this recipe we are going to need smoked paprika, regular paprika. You don't need to have the smoked paprika. I always have it. This is one of my favorite spices, so I am adding it in. If you don't have it, you don't need to use it. Some chili powder, cumin. I have home canned chicken breast here, and I have some jalapenos. Most recipes they call for the small can of like the green chilies. I don't have any of that right now, and I have this can of jalapenos that's open, so I'm just going to dice one of those up. I don't want to make it too spicy because my sons will be eating it, but I'm going to go ahead and dice up one of these jalapenos. And then I have a quart here of Great Northern beans, and I have a quart of my chicken broth, which I will also be using the broth that is in here as well. Salt, pepper, and I have a can of corn, and I will use the juice of this corn as well. And I have some minced garlic, and then I have red onion, 1 whole red onion cut up here. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of this into the crock pot and get it turned on. And the nice thing about this recipe, since I'm using all my home canned stuff, everything is already cooked. So really you're just heating it through. So you could throw this together. I'm putting it in the crock pot. It's 12:30. But today is Friday, so it's kind of like people are coming and going. My son is home from school. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the crock pot and get it turned on. And by the time anybody is hungry, they can go ahead and chow down whenever they want. And I think I'm going to make some cornbread to go along with this. Cornbread goes wonderful with chili. Doesn't matter what kind of chili it is. Okay, so I'm going to get things turned around here, and we're going to assemble this in the crock pot and get it turned on. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and spray my crock pot. Okay, and then I'm going to get my onions in there. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my chicken. And I'm going to get the juice and the chicken. We're going to go ahead and dump in our chicken broth. And our jar of Great Northern beans. You could use any type of white bean you'd like. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add in my can of corn, liquid and all. There's a lot of nutrients in that liquid that's in there. When you buy canned vegetables, use that liquid, because in the canning process, all of those nutrients come out and into that liquid. So that liquid is very nutrient dense. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and put in some garlic. Well, probably about a tablespoon of garlic. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my spices. First, I'll start out with some salt and pepper, about a half a teaspoon. And a quarter teaspoon of pepper. I have cumin here, so I'm going to do a teaspoon of cumin, teaspoon of chili powder, teaspoon of smoked paprika, and a teaspoon of regular paprika. And then I'm going to chop up one jalapeno here. And you don't have to use this. If you have a little can of chilies, go ahead and use that. But like I said, since I have this jar of jalapenos open, I am just going to use one of these. And if you like it spicier, I mean, if it was just my husband and I would definitely be making it spicy. I would be putting several more jalapenos in, but my sons will be eating this, so I don't want it to be too spicy for them. Okay, and then that's it. I'm just going to give this a nice little stir. And then I'm going to get this turned on. Now, like I said, everything in here, other than like the onions are raw, But everything is cooked. The beans have been canned, so they are cooked. The chicken has been canned, so it is cooked. So really we're just heating this through and letting it get thicker. And in a couple hours, I'll check it and I'll taste it to see if we need any more seasonings, to see if I need to add any more liquid. I could add more broth. I could add heavy cream, which I might do if you want to make it a little bit more creamier. Usually that's what I do. I'll put some milk in it or heavy cream or something like that. And then I'm just gonna heat this through, and then it'll be ready whenever anybody else is ready. And for toppings, I like to kind of just do like taco toppings. I'll slice up some avocado. I'll drizzle some lime juice over top of it, some sour cream, anything like that. You can do any kind of toppings whatsoever. Cheese. Okay, so I will bring you back in a couple hours when we take a look at this and give it a taste test to see if it has the right amount of seasonings in there for us. Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Carrie's Culinary Crafts. Today we're doing another Crocktober recipe. For the month of October, I'm doing a few videos of our favorite crock pot recipes. So today in our Crocktober recipe, we are going to do some barbecue ribs. Normally I do these low and slow in the oven or in the smoker or something outside, but today I'm going to show you how you can do them in your crock pot. A lot of people love to cook with their crock pot, and this is just another one of those recipes that you certainly can do in the crock pot. Normally I do them in the oven. I like to do them low and slow, and there's less steps if you do it in the oven than there is with the crock pot. But I wanted to go ahead and put this in here so I can show you how you can do it in the crock pot if that's something that you like to do. So the ingredients that I have here, I have 2 racks of ribs here. When I cook ribs, I always cook 2 racks of ribs. We always have leftovers, and I usually take some over to my mom, and leftovers will get eaten. So I just never want to not have enough, although one would be enough just for me, my one son, and my husband. But I'm going to still go ahead and cook 2 racks of ribs because that's just what I always do. And for our seasonings, we need 1 teaspoon of mustard powder, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon onion powder, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. If you don't have smoked paprika, you can use regular paprika. I always have smoked paprika on hand because I love it. 1 teaspoon of chili flakes, and I have 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. This is a 3 tablespoon scoop, and I have a heaping scoop, so it would be 4 tablespoons, which would be 1/4 cup of brown sugar. And I have salt and pepper, and then my Italian seasoning blend. Now that is, all of that will be for the rub for the ribs. And then for the barbecue sauce, I'll be making homemade barbecue sauce. Excuse me. So I have honey here. I have some of my homemade canned ketchup. I have just a wee little bit of hot sauce in here that I just want to use up so I can get this bottle washed and refilled again. So I'm just going to use the rest of that hot sauce. And I have a little bit of liquid smoke here. This is not something that you have to put in there. I just like really smoky ribs. So I have the smoked paprika, and I will put a little bit of the liquid smoke in with my barbecue sauce. Now, and also for like the seasonings that are going in here, I am going to dump in what is left over from my rub. The rub will not, the rub that I'm making is going to be more than enough to cover both sides of my ribs. So there's going to be a little bit left over, and I'm just going to dump that right into my barbecue sauce, and that will be the seasonings that are in the barbecue sauce. So to get started, I'm going to have to prepare these ribs. Now, they're still in the package, so what I need to do is I need to take them out of the package, and the back where the bone is, there is what's called like the silver skin, the membrane that is stuck on there. You don't have to remove it. I just do. I just prefer it without it because it's much, I like my ribs to be like fall off the bone, and sometimes that membrane will keep it together. You certainly can eat it. It's really not that much of a difference. It's a little bit more of a chewy texture, but you certainly don't need to remove it. So if you want your ribs to stay together, you might want to leave that on. But I like to remove it for mine because I like to know that when I pick up one of my ribs and the meat is falling off the bone, then I know that it's done and it's ready. So I'm going to go ahead and open up these ribs and remove the membrane, and then we will get started with the dry rub to put on them. Okay, so to remove the membrane, if you want to do that, you want to flip your ribs over, and you want to start at the first bone and take a knife that has a sharp point and just jab it right underneath that membrane. And then push it through till it comes out. If it comes out, if not, then we'll just tear it a little bit. Okay. And then I just cut it down the side there just to make it a little easier to rip off. There we go. Okay. Now with this part that's sticking up here, if you grab a paper towel, it makes it super easy to grip, because without it, it's really, really slimy. So your fingers just slip right out of it. So I grab a paper towel and grip it really good, and then hold the other side with my hand and just peel off the membrane. And it usually comes off in one piece. Mine kind of tore in half. But usually you can get it in one piece. So let me get this upper half here. Okay. See if I can grip that. Grip it with a paper towel, and it just rips right off. So I got that membrane off in two pieces. So there is one rack of ribs that is ready. Now I flipped it over. There's this really fatty part here. I'm okay with some fat, but we don't need tons of fat. So there's just this flap of fat here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. This isn't the best knife, but I wasn't planning on really having to cut anything. Okay. So there is the one rack. And now now I'm going to go ahead and do the second rack. Okay, let's see if I can get this one off in one piece. Usually it comes off in one piece. All right, there we go. Look at that. One piece. And this top part doesn't have anything. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mix my dry rub ingredients now. Teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of onion powder, teaspoon of mustard powder, teaspoon of smoked paprika, teaspoon of chili flakes, 1/4 cup brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning blend, 1 teaspoon of salt, ½ teaspoon of pepper. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir. Make sure you crush up those chunks of brown sugar in there so you can get everything mixed evenly. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and coat both sides of my ribs here with the dry rub mix. You want to pat that in so it sticks really good to your ribs. Okay, I can use a little bit more on this side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and flip them over, and we're going to do the other side. I have a little bit of seasoning left. I'm going to go ahead and use this bowl, use the rest of that seasoning, and put it in with my homemade barbecue sauce that I'll be making shortly. I got the crock pot here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and spray it. And then I'm going to put the meat side out and the bone side on the inside of the pot. And the same thing with this. Okay, so just line in the pot like that. Okay, so now I have my seasoning blend here, and I'm gonna make up some homemade barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce to make homemade is so easy, and I love it because you can change it to how you like it. I'm just going to use the rest of this. So I might have a lot of barbecue sauce, but there's a cup of barbecue sauce in here. I'm going to go ahead and use that. And I'm going to use a little bit of liquid smoke. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in here. Oh, pour it in there. Put the lid on and shake this so I can get as much of that ketchup out as I can. Okay. And now I need some honey. I will definitely probably need since I put a cup in there, I'm probably going to need more than a cup of honey. So I have a 1/2 cup scoop here. I'm going to start with 1.5 cups because I know that I need more than 1 cup. Should have sprayed my little cup here first. Okay, there's 1/2 cup. There's 1 cup. Now I'm going to put another 1/2 cup in. All right, so we'll start with that. I'm going to give this a good mix. I think it'll be a little easier with a whisk. Put a little bit of this hot sauce in because there's only just a little bit left. So, and you certainly don't have to put this in. I just want to use this up so I can get it washed and refilled. Okay. Now that this is combined, I'm going to give it a little taste test and see how it tastes. Yeah, that's good. Don't need any more honey. We are good to go. So that's the ratio. If I use 1 cup of ketchup, I need to use 1.5 cups of honey. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pour this all over my ribs. Okay, so now I mentioned one other, I mentioned that you'll need an extra step once these are cooked in the crock pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them in, or plug them in and put them on low for 8 hours. If you want to shorten the time, you can do part of the time high. I like to low and slow cook mine, and it's early in the morning yet, so I have no problem with these cooking for 8 hours at this point. So I'm just going to put them on low for 8 hours, and when that 8 hours is done, or if you check them and they're fall off the bone, then you can take them out of the crock pot. That barbecue sauce is going to be liquidy because you cook it in the crock pot. So you're going to want to put that sauce into a saucepan and bring it up to a simmer, and it will thicken up the sauce. Meanwhile, you want to get these onto a broiling pan or a rack and a sheet pan, whatever. Put it on top and put some of that barbecue sauce on the ribs. And then you're going to stick them under the broiler for 5 minutes. And then you're going to take them out. You're going to flip them to the other side. And then you're going to put the rest of that barbecue sauce on it and put them back under the broiler for 5 minutes. So that way that barbecue sauce will get all thick and sticky and yummy and be really, really good. Because that's the problem with cooking it in the crock pot. You want to cook it in there so it has the barbecue flavor, but because it's in the crock pot, it's going to stay more of a thinner sauce. But once you stick it on your stove and you bring it up to a simmer, it'll thicken right up. And then by putting it under the broiler, it'll make it all sticky and caramelized and delicious. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, put it in the crock pot, 8 hours on low. And I will meet you back when it's time to do the next step with the sauce. Okay, here are the ribs after 8 hours. And as you can see, they are fall apart tender because I wasn't able to pull them out of the crock pot in one piece. If you can see that? Fall off the bone tender. That is what we want. So now what I'm going to do, and I was going to put the sauce in a saucepan and bring it up to a simmer, but I decided to go ahead and leave it in the crock pot and just kick the crock pot on high till it starts, fogged up, until it starts boiling. And see, if you can see the bubbles there, it's starting to. So I'm going to bring that to a boil and I'm going to let it simmer in the crock pot for a little bit. And then I will, once it thickens up, then I will brush it on the ribs, and I will stick it under the broiler for 5 minutes. For today's crock pot recipe, I'm going to make something so simple, so fast. It's going to come together in just 2 minutes. My son has a baseball game today, so I want to make sure I get something in the crock pot and ready for when he comes home from school, so he can eat whenever he wants. And what I'm going to do is a nice taco dip. I have a bunch of taco chips, so we're going to go ahead and throw a bunch of taco ingredients into the crock pot and cook it on low for about 3 hours, and it is done. So the first thing we're going to need is some taco meat. Now this is my canned taco meat. I always keep this on the shelf for those days when, you know, I need something quick, fast, in a hurry. There's nothing like cooked taco meat. I just realized I forgot to spray my crock pot, so I'm going to do that in a second. Okay, so there is my taco meat. I'm going to go ahead and spray. And then I'm going to dump in, I have a quart of pinto beans here. I'm only going to dump half of them in. Okay. And then I got a can of my nacho cheese sauce. It's 1 can of Rotel. You can use diced tomatoes or Rotel. I want that little bit of spice from the chilies in there. 1 can of corn. And the final ingredient we need is some sour cream. Or you can use Greek yogurt, which is what I use in place of sour cream, because it basically tastes the same but has a lot of protein in it. So I am going to put, about 2 cups in there. I'm going to put what's left in this container. It might not be quite 2 cups. It might be like 1.5 cups. But I am going to use what is left. All right, and that is the ingredients. Now I'm just going to go ahead and give this a really good stir. Look at that. Already looks delicious. Now remember, everything is cooked in here already, so really all we're doing is heating it through. And there we go. You see how fast that came together? And it's a favorite. Who doesn't like a taco dip, right? So I am going to put this on low for about 3 hours. I'm going to check it at 2 hours. And if it's all, bubbling like crazy, then I'm going to turn it down to warm because it's done. You just basically want to get it all up to temperature, and it'll take no time at all. And you can use chips to dip in this. You could use pitas, whatever you'd like. We are going to use chips for this. And this will close out this second video of our Crocktober Fest. I will try and get a 3rd video out before the end of October. Not positive, but I certainly will try. But I want to get this one uploaded for the second Crocktober video meals. And I hope you guys enjoyed this Crocktober video. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends.